we are through with Dan.
Nice job, Dan.
No, thank you.
That website was great.
And we are ready. Well, thank you. It's a continuing progression. So I'm going to give it up here. Let's give Mark a hand for coming to Texas. No problem. Switch you over. A couple of things with your legal page. Okay. You probably want to have a really big disclaimer at the top. Actually, I'm not kidding. Seriously, yeah. Seriously. No, you are. Yeah. You know, I mean, you need to have that at the top. You really don't want to be involved in lawsuits if there's an issue that comes up. And the disclaimer should say something like, "This is provided as a benefit to our members. It is not intended to represent any legal advice. You use these at your own peril, etc." So I want to tell you why I love videos. Because I'm not going to remember any of that, but that can't. Well, that's okay. I'm not either. So thank you very much. I have some language. Actually, if you email me, I have some language that I've done for some other reels. Okay, you're on. Let me get this switch over for you. All right. Howdy, y'all. Hey. That's, by the way, that's Texan for hello, everybody. Yes, I appreciate that. I did not wear my boots. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my back, so I didn't wear my boots. But yes, we have boots. It's like required, and it's also required that we carry weapons as well. So, yeah, that is Texan for hello, everybody. I knew that I had screwed up my son royally. We were in Erie, Pennsylvania for quite a while, and we played hockey. We played hockey throughout Canada as well with him, and so he had started to pick up the Canadian way of talking, eh? Okay? And we moved down to Texas, and we were playing hockey. We had him on a hockey team in Texas, and I knew I had absolutely screwed him up when I hear off the bench goes, "Let's go, y'all, eh?" All right, before we start, I am an attorney. Does everybody know I own a tie? All right. Everybody knows I own at least one sport coat, right? Yeah. Good. All right. Okay. Everybody know I own pants? No. Right now you got to poke out your mind's eye, right? Okay. Yeah, no. This is a horror story. That's a horror show. We actually, the video that's up there is actually a video that turned into a TV show called The New Masters of Real Estate that has aired on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. So we're kind of pleased with that. That's also, we used parts of that for the book. I have a book coming out on the 26th of July, and I understand that pre-sales have made it a bestseller, so I'll be back here in September to accept a Quilly Award.
Congratulations. What's the title?
What's that? Title? I'll get to it.
Oh.
It's Protect and Defend. I'll get to it, though. Don't jump ahead. I had a little bit of trouble coming in with the flight. We were quite delayed coming out of San Antonio, and when we got on the plane, I happened to be in the B-27 boarding thing with Southwest, and so I wound up sitting on the aisle, and I was sitting next to a doctor. Do we have any doctors? You can imagine our professions don't always get along. So we were talking about our professions and how different they are and how alike they are and the animosity, and he said, "You know, I'm thirsty." And he was sitting here, and I was sitting on the aisle, and I said, you know what, so am I. I'll go get you a Coke. What do you want? Coke. Okay. So I'm back to the guy, I got 2 drinks. And I happen to be wearing these shoes. Now these are loafers, but I had taken my shoes off and put them underneath the seat in front of me. So I bring the Cokes back, put it down. We're just having a grand old time, and we land. And I slide my feet into my shoes to discover that he had put thumbtacks in my shoes. And so I cleaned them out, and I got up and I said, "This animosity between our professions has got to stop. I mean, this is ridiculous." This putting tacks in shoes and spitting in Cokes has just got to stop. Oh, all right. I actually, we do have bumper stickers in Texas that say, you know, I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as soon as I can. I was actually born in North Hollywood, so that's right. So now, if I move back to California, I'm a native Californian.
Yeah, that's right.
But I actually moved out when I was, we actually moved back to New Jersey and Pennsylvania when I was a year old. So, and I wasn't back until about 2 years ago. So, oh yes, it works good. Oh yes, I know why your government here in California has to provide so much. If I had weather this pretty, I wouldn't want to do anything either. I mean, come on. I left 107 degrees, and I had the window down as I'm coming. Actually, it wasn't that breezy because I was on the 405. So, but at least I had the window open. So, yeah. Every lawyer has a disclaimer. Okay, you can't sue me for anything I say here. Okay, agreed?
Agreed.
All right, good. I'm sure you've seen this. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it'll be killed. Every morning a lion wakes up and it knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. When you get up in the morning, are you running?
Yes.
Okay, now I did that presentation. Let me turn off my cell phone here. Make sure that if your cell phone rings, you have to either recite poetry or say or sing a song. Okay. Now, it happened to me in one of my meetings, so I stood up and said, "The title of this is Fleas. Adam had 'em," and then said it. So, but I digress. When you get up in the morning, are you running? I did this presentation. And someone pointed out that I actually had a male lion on the picture, and that it's actually the female lion that does the hunting. Okay, so I revised the saying a little bit. Every morning in Africa, a lioness wakes up and knows she's going to have to get the cubs up, scout the grasslands, plant the nest, stalk the gazelle, chase the prey, kill the prey, and bring dinner to the table when the male lion wants it. Watch out for the cubs, break up fights between them, discipline the cubs, make sure they're fed, keep them from going into the path of a herd of elephants, nurse the cubs, teach the cubs to hunt, keep the den clean, groom her mate, and keep herself trim and fit and looking good. Moral of the story? If you're a male lion, find yourself a good mate and you've got it made in shape. All right. I am an attorney. About 7 years ago, we founded the Torok Law Firm with one purpose in mind, and that's to exclusively represent real estate investors. At the time, I was a real estate investor. I'm still a real estate investor. I left corporate 6 figures with USAA to go out. I said to myself, I'm making more money doing real estate than I am practicing law at USAA, so I'll go out and do the real estate. But I've been a lawyer since 1983, and I said, well, I really can't just walk away from that. So I said, I'll open a small practice and only represent real estate investors. And I'll do that in the morning, and then I'll do my real estate in the afternoon. One big mistake. I seriously underestimated the need for legal services for real estate investors. And since that day, we've been going full-time, et cetera, et cetera. Over the last 3 years, we've closed over 800 transactions for real estate investors. Doesn't sound like too many, except that only 3 of those actually involved a traditional loan. We do 1 of those a year to remind us that we don't do them. Okay? We just don't. Life's way too short. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I've got a couple of questions. What if I could show you how to have financial security for you and your family? Show you how to retire in 3 to 5 years with $100,000 a year in passive income. show you how to have an almost unlimited market. Have a ready buyer with assets, integrity, and exceptional service for every house you want to sell. What if I could show you how to sell underwater houses? Show you how to sell unsellable houses. Show you how to sell houses with little or no equity. Sell to buyers that have been turned down for loans, and provide the American dream for hundreds of families. I have clients right now that are doing that. I have a problem with some of those clients because I've already had one of my good clients come in, and he has said, I've already bought and sold 40 houses this year. I'm taking my wife on a trip around the world. I'll see you in 2013. Well, for me, that's really bad because this guy's not going to close any more deals, for the rest of the year. For him, it's great because he's got all the money in the world to take his family around the world. And I've got several folks like that. Oh, by the way, what if we could do this all while doing it ethically, legally, morally, and all the while helping the seller, the buyer, the lender, and of course the community, and of course you, guaranteed with full disclosure. One of the things that I'm going to do, and I can only touch on a little bit of on this, but we're talking about subject to. Okay, and there are a lot of issues that are going to come up, but I'm going to address every single one of them. And almost every single one of those 800 transactions was a subject to transaction. And in every single one of those transactions, the bank knows. And they've not called the loan. And they're not going to call it loan. Okay? Now, I'll tell you something. The risk is 15 bucks on any property. That's all you have at risk. 15 bucks. Almost no money down. It's not no money down. And I'm not counting what you may spend on education, what you might spend on marketing. What I'm talking about is $15 is what you have at risk. How much would that be worth? Nominally and conservatively, you could expect to produce about $100,000 a year for 30 years. Now for me, that's enough because I'm an old farmer. That's a legal term. Buying and selling just one house a month for the next 3 years. Now here in your market, you could probably buy one house every 2 months and get to exactly the same place. I know, you don't believe me, do you?
I don't believe you.
No, say you don't believe me.
The price is higher.
If you believe me, then my job is done here. Let's go. Go to the beach. Okay. What's your dream? What do you want? Life's too short. Way too short. My father, when he was 41 years old, had a grapefruit-sized tumor removed from his lower colon. When he was 43, he had 2 heart attacks. When he was 45, he had triple bypass. When he was 58, he went in because they thought he had an ulcer. And he was on the operating table. They were going to remove that part of his stomach. And they opened him up, and he was back in his room in 20 minutes. And they said, my dad had a PhD in metallurgical engineering. They said, Dr. Torok, get your affairs in order. He had pancreatic cancer, and it spread. Now, that's kind of sad, right? He calls me, and I go to his bedside, and he looks up at me, and he goes, you know, Mark, you only go around once in life. And then he got this little smile, and he said, but if you do it right, once is all you need. And I look at my dad, and when we were in California, he worked for Bendix. And as I said, he was a metallurgical engineer, which kind of designs metals and, tensile strength and bendability and all that kind of stuff that turned him on, didn't turn me on. And he did the heat shield for John Glenn's spacecraft. Okay, now there was a big pucker moment for about 8 minutes when my dad held his breath when John came back through the atmosphere, because no one knew whether John was going to be a crispy critter or not at that point. And when that hatch opened up, you know, everybody's really happy. He was the youngest 33rd degree Mason. I've been a Mason now for 31 years. He was a 33rd degree Mason. He was the youngest 33rd degree Mason in the state of New Jersey. He was the Grand Marshal of the state of New Jersey as a Mason. 33rd degree, for those of you that don't know, is offered to about 1 in 10,000 Masons. It's a very high honor. He was Amateur Winemaker of the Year twice in a row, off of grapes. Actually, it was one was grapes and one was the dessert wine off of blackberries that his oldest son cultivated for him, under threat of bodily injury, but he showed dogs at Westminster Kennel Club. And about 8 years before he died, he took up commercial ballooning. And he would take people up in the morning and at night and everything else, and wound up with talking with some people. And as it turns out, they wanted him to fly one of their balloons for them. And so if you've ever seen, they call it the Carmen Miranda balloon. It's a shape, what they call a shape in ballooning. It's a lady with a hat with fruit on it, is what the shape of the balloon is. My dad flew that balloon for Malcolm Forbes. He was to Malcolm's many times talking about wine and all that other stuff. Okay, he had 7 patents to his name. And he died at 59. So, life's too short. So have you done it? Have you done what you've wanted? Okay? I've jumped out of airplanes. Never going to do that again. Voluntarily. I've raced cars. I'm learning to scuba dive. You know, life's way too short. So I advise everyone to take it by the horns and shake it for all it's worth. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. I wish I knew now. I wish I knew what I know now back then, because I'd have done. I'd probably been dead by then. But you want to squeeze every single drop you can out of life. Okay. So, what are you afraid of? When I ask this question, I've asked this question, we normally get one of these answers. Fear of not being able to provide for your family, fear of the risk, fear of the SAFE Act, the MARS regulation, other regulations, going to jail, fear of the due on sale clause, fear of filling out the contract, fear of talking with people, fear of doing something stupid, fear of not having enough knowledge, fear of not being able to find buyers, fear of not being able to find sellers, fear of not having all the answers, fear of trying and failing. Now, the fear of doing something stupid, I don't have that gene. Okay? Constantly I'm doing something stupid. It's okay.